Hey everybody, this is Seibo Shen from the Seibo Shen podcast, and today's episode we have Omar Cuevas joining us. He is a veteran of Iraq, and he has been using cannabis as a way to treat his PTSD. Not only has he been using cannabis to treat his PTSD, but he's been going back to school, really trying to make something of himself and his life, and has been a real inspiration to myself to watch him progress and to see him as such a great role model for what we are doing here in the cannabis space. So I hope you guys really enjoy the next 30 minutes that I spend with Omar, and we discuss many different topics, and most importantly, please let us know what you think about the episode, and if you know any other veterans that are in pain or in trouble, please let them know that there are other alternatives out there. So without further ado, let's get this show started. Hey everyone, it's Seibo Shen, founder of Vape Exhale and host of the Seibo Shen podcast. I'm here today with Omar Cuevas. Omar.
Hey everyone.
So we have a very special show today. Omar is ex-military. I asked him onto today's show because he has done a few tours out in the Middle East, and upon coming back and having to reintegrate with society, there are a lot of challenges that he had to face. Also, being able to figure out, different things that could help with PTSD. We wanted to talk to Omar about, some of the challenges he's faced and, what he's doing to really reintegrate with society. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, really cool is I met Omar at last year's 420 games with Jim McAlpine. Also met Kyle Kingsbury that day. He happened to be in the picture with Kyle feeding him a hot dog, so he stood out. And he also just randomly won our Evo giveaway. So since that time, I think it's been a year.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
Golden Gate Park. Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyways, just wanted to ask you. Could you kind of talk a little bit about your military career? Like what made you want to join the military, and what you ended up doing out there.
What prompted me to join the military? I always wanted to be a firefighter. My father's a retired firefighter in Oakland, and that's what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I figured the military could help me do that. I joined during peacetime. I think, Bill Clinton was still the president when I joined, and it was peacetime, and I had no clue what I was in for. I was in the 82nd Airborne. I was a medic, and just sitting at a desk one day, and then watching TV, and 2 planes crashed into a building, and then the next thing you know, we're in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And we're in Afghanistan for about a year. And then we came home for maybe 3 or 4 months. I'm not exactly sure, but we redeployed to Iraq right after that, and we did like a 6-month tour.
And where were you when this happened? Were you in California or New York or?
Oh no, I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Okay, so you were already in the military.
Yeah, I was in the military. Yeah, I left to the military in the year 2000.
Okay.
And then 9/11. I had been in maybe 8 months or something like that. Like I had just got to my unit in the 82nd Airborne. I had just got there.
Okay. So were you scared, nervous, or excited?
I was all of that. I was all those emotions at once. But once you touch down and you're there and you're there, like, and you're in it, then it's. Yeah, you're scared.
Yeah.
You're scared. Everywhere you go, you're scared, and you just think, the whole time you're there, when am I going to get it? When is it going to happen? And then things happen, and then you're just like, is this it? It's just a constant toil with your brain, like, am I going to get it? Am I not?
Yeah. And then when you first joined the military in 2000, was it because... or why did you initially join?
I wanted to get some experience. I wanted to get that medical training because I chose to be a medic. So then they sent me to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, to do my medical training. That was my schooling, and I learned a lot of great things in the military. A lot of great things.
Okay, cool.
I'd do it again too. Like I would go back in.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I haven't thought about 9/11 for a really long time. It is my mother-in-law's birthday, so I kind of associate it with her birthday as opposed to the event. But I mean, how was it being on the base when you guys heard the news? It must have been just...
It was surreal. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I was like a 23-year-old kid. I'm 38 now. I was 23 years old at the time, and I guess I was immature. I was immature. So it was just like I didn't understand the gravity of it. It was a big deal. It was a life changer for everybody. And I'm just sitting at a desk, and all these phones are ringing, and I'm answering these phones, and people are going crazy. I'm like, what's going on? And then you see the planes crash, and then everybo's going crazy, saying, we're going to war, gentlemen, we're going to war. And yeah, we did. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I guess I signed up for this. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I didn't even, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have joined if I knew it was gonna happen. But now that I have joined and I know what to expect and what to do, I'd do it again.
Right. So you went in as a medic, and then you're like, oh shit, shit hit the fan. I might need to knuckle up and...
Oh yeah, I mean, because I was in the infantry.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan, I was evac squad, and we just would drive ambulances around, and then we'd ride around on GATs, ground assault convoys, and I mean, the longest I stayed out was like a month.
Yeah.
We were off base for like a month, just in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan.
Interesting. You know what's, not to make light of it, but I literally watched the movie Con Air with Nicolas Cage the night before with this girl who I'd been like courting for like a really long time. So the next morning when I saw those videos on TV, I mean, I was like, am I in a dream?
Right.
The brownie I eat last night, is it still like fucking with me, or am I looking at something real? It was just, I was like you, I think I was maybe a year or two, 24 at the time, done with school, going into work, just going like, what are we gonna do?
Right.
Actually, I don't think I went to work that day. They told us to stay home. It was just...
That's the day the world went crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys hear the news, you get deployed, what happens next? I mean, are you out there for months at a time, or how much time passes?
We were on the base. I mean, once we were at Kandahar Air Force Base in Kandahar, Afghanistan. Kandahar Air Base, we were division ready. We were on DRB status, so that means we're ready to deploy anywhere in the world within 18 hours. So we were all set up to go, and then we were like on the last day of that status. So the next battalion over, I think it was Panther Brigade or whatever. They went because they already set up. Like they were set up ready to go, and we were on our last day of that status. So they went. So we were already prepared. And then they went and they took that or whatever. So we came right after. So from there, right after, we were just out. I mean, the base was new. I mean, it was just put up. It's surreal. It was like you're living the movie. You don't. This is stuff they do in the movie, so you don't. It's happening to you, and you're like, oh my god! And then we're jumping out of airplanes, parachuting out of airplanes at night.
Yeah, and then you said you did 2 tours, right?
Yeah. We were in Afghanistan so long that Iraq happened. Uh-huh. So we were in Afghanistan while Iraq happened, and then we came home, and then we redeployed right after that. Yeah, we were home like 3 months.
And then redeployed?
Yeah.
So how long were you gone in total?
With 2 tours, I was probably gone like a year and a half.
Okay.
It's spent in the Middle East.
Got it.
And then the other year might have been with training, and then, it all adds up to like 3 years and some change.
Okay. So, I think none of us need to hear specifics. I'm sure you saw some crazy stuff out there, and but after the deployments were done, can you talk a little bit about you coming back and kind of having to reintegrate into society and some of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, that's been really difficult. And, a lot of it I take responsibility for, but, you know, a lot of it is coming back to a place that's changed and you don't really feel like you fit in, and maybe you have a different perspective of things, and it's like when you conversate with other people that might not know about your perspective, then you kind of butt heads and it's hard to communicate. That's why like I have trouble communicating with people, because I'm just so used to being a soldier and reacting to things that where it's like, wait a second, I have to get a filter. You know, it's an adjustment. It's difficult. And then when you come home, when I first came home, I don't think the VA is doing it now, but when I first came home, like they were just giving me pills, just kind of, I don't know what they were doing, but you know, maybe they didn't know what they were doing, you know. So I hope now that they know what they're doing, but I haven't really been, you know, going to talk to them really.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I found is, you know, there's tons of doctors in my family. As an Asian person, I was expected to either be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, you know, much less a cannabis entrepreneur. But, you know, the interesting thing is, even though doctors are schooled in medicine, mm-hmm. like, they're not like the best well-informed people on overall holistic health, you know. Mm-hmm. So many times they're just following orders, like, all right, if they have, you know, if they're showing this symptom, give them this,
right?
You know. So in a weird way, like I used to think, oh man, there's like some fucking conspiracy theory about like, you know, keeping you sick for a long time so you keep paying money to these people, where I'm starting to find, I think it's just people just don't know. You know, I'm sure some people are selling snake oil and want to keep you sick your whole life, but I feel like there's just a lot of them that just don't know. It's kind of like what we were talking about before we started filming about some people just not trying hard enough. It's not like they're out to get you. It's just that
they don't know any better.
Yeah. And well, I think this is why these types of interviews are super important, because you know, you've obviously been able to treat some of your PTSD with cannabis, and you know, having people watch this and listen to these stories, you know, it won't be the change, but it'll help the change and help them realize that there's other healthier, less side effect type of remedies that are out there that, you know, really help soldiers. So can you talk a little bit about, you know, kind of the things that you've tried, how they've not helped, and then how you found cannabis?
Right, yes. You know, I've known I've had a relationship with cannabis most of my life. But, you know, being in the military, you can't really smoke pot. So when I was in, you know, we were drinking a lot. And that started I guess that kind of started the fog I was in. Because the past 16 years, it's been really, I'm having trouble putting it together. I just started school in January this semester. And this is my first semester back. I'm 38, so that's a challenge. And cannabis is helping with that.
You know, like, just to interrupt, I mean, I'm super proud of you. I mean, when I met you a year ago, you look like a completely different person. Going back to school, that takes a lot of balls. I mean, you know, you really got my respect, because, you know, you're taking the action to get your life together, and we talked about it. You know, it doesn't matter if you're where you're at, I'm where I'm at. Like, we have a life's worth of work ahead of us to keep improving.
Yes, always. It's always better to improve yourself, even if you don't think there's anything wrong with you. Hey, it's a lifelong process. But initially when I came home, I had gotten on benzodiazepines. They were giving me Xanax.
Xanax, okay.
And you know, it's a great thing and all, but I ended up becoming, I guess, addicted to it. And you know, I not having that, I would get kind of weird, but like if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be weird. It was just okay, I don't have any.
Right. And then what did the Xanax do for you? Did it calm you down, or just kind of numb you, or?
It you know, at first it calmed me down, and then after a while, it started numbing me, and then I changed. You know, it changed my brain chemistry, it changed everything. Like I'm pretty sure I didn't have a lot of the issues I have now. You know, aside from the PTSD, but after you know, getting on the Xanax for a while, like things changed. You know, so I'm doing a lot of work to repair what I've done to myself. You know, I'm not gonna blame the VA all the way, because you know I've made mistakes along the way, but you know I think now they're starting to maybe get on board with this because I noticed they had a flyer at the VA talking about soldiers come smoke and.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you know what's really cool about this is, you know, like as I watch you on your kind of path back, you know, I see like. What really impresses me is I see you take a lot of accountability for your action. Like, you know, the VA putting you on Xanax, like, yeah, you know, I think admittedly there should be a lot of anger towards that because you feel like it's messed up your kind of neurobiochemistry, which, you know, I'm no expert in Xanax, but I know like when you're fucking with hormones to try to regulate your emotional state, like, hormones are getting fucked with, you know, and I know way more success stories with cannabis than with Xanax, but you know, back to what I was saying is I like how you take accountability. Like, yeah, I was mad, but I know I need to do this because ultimately, it's like even if they were the ones to blame, they're not the ones that are gonna fix you. You know, you gotta fix yourself. So I give you, you know, a lot of credit for, you know, because I could see you in the words that you use, and then you stop yourself, and then you hold yourself accountable instead of saying they. You're like, well, I need to make these new choices, and I think that's really important for people that are trying to make themselves better, regardless if you're a business person, a soldier, or an athlete. Is, you know, it's very rarely like, oh, that guy held me back, or this guy's not helping me here. It's just
I'm doing it to myself.
Exactly.
And like you know what? Thank you for pointing that out to me because like I've been really working on that, especially like talking to people. I lost my. I used to be a way better talker. I used to be calm and able to talk real, you know. But I'm always at this constant heightened excitement state all the time. So it's nice that you noticed that. I'm really working on.
When we got reconnected at Harvest a week or two ago, you know, when you walked in, I was like, I know that guy, but I don't. You know, like you had a different energy and vibe to you, so I could tell that you know you've been making improvements to your life, and you know it makes me happy that you know yoga, cannabis, our device kind of helped in all those areas.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I need to get a little nail too.
Oh yeah. I'll send you home with some.
I use that.
So okay, all right. So we had the Xanax that kind of numbed you, kind of fooled around with your biochemistry or neurochemistry.
Right, and then I ended up taking too much along all the time. So like I was doing it with marijuana, I could have as much as I want, and like nothing bad. There's not going to be anything bad that's going to happen.
Yeah, and so kind of tell me or tell the people kind of how you were using cannabis to kind of deal with this PTSD and how it helped you.
You know, like. It all starts like in the morning. Like if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling a certain way, then I might smoke. If I'm not feeling that certain way, then I won't smoke. And then I'll go like the day till I feel like I need to, which usually is around breakfast time. And then I'll take a rip off the vape and eat something and then go about my day. And then lunchtime, if I'm able to, I'll smoke. But definitely at nighttime, I'll have a little bit, and then I'm relaxed. I sleep a full night. I don't have to drink myself to sleep, you know, to get calm. I don't have to take pills to get calm. You know, it's just I'll have my vape, and then I'm relaxed, and everything's, you know, it's fine for you know, it's what it's for.
Yeah. And you know, I guess for other soldiers maybe coming back, you know, do you have any advice for them on how they should approach, you know, kind of reintegrating with society? You know, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked?
You know what? I'm gonna say education. Honestly, when you come home, use your Montgomery post 9/11 GI Bill. Go to school. I should have gone to school years ago. You know, right when I came home, I should have done this all when I came home. But you know what? It's never too late. You know, go to school. Use that school money. They're going to pay you to go to school. You don't have any excuses. I don't have any excuses. I'm just a little behind.
Yeah. Well, you know, being a little behind, that's no problem. I mean, one of the things that I always say is, man, I wish I started jiu-jitsu earlier, you know, instead of boxing and kickboxing. But at the end of the day, we got one life, and what better time than now to start making your dreams come true. You know, so I really like that you recommended them going back to school. I'm sure there's kind of like a social environment that helps them reintegrate.
It is. I needed that because I was a bit of a recluse, you know, in my house. Like when you met me a year ago, like I was just starting to try and venture out into the world, and like
interesting.
Like I was kind of putting my foot out, and you know, like is it, you know, and then putting myself out there because I don't have any friends anymore. Like I've lost all my friends. Just the world changed. What people value is different than you know. I'm looking for people that are, you know, more like me, and I haven't found that at home. But since I've been going to school, I've been meeting other vets, people who have been through similar experiences as I have, and then people who are just as scared and just as nervous or apprehensive to put themselves out there in fear of being ridiculed. I mean, it's really hard for us to come home and like people don't really know, you know, and I don't want to put the, you know, no, I'm not on no high horse or nothing. It's just people really don't know.
Yeah, you know, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, you know, one of the things that you talked about that kind of like really stuck out to me today was how you said, like, you know, a lot of the people haven't seen the same things as you, so it was hard for you to speak to them about certain topics just because, you know, they couldn't relate. And one of the things that I really like about these cannabis events is that, you know, regardless of what race you are, how much money you make, boy, girl, transgender, whatever, like these cannabis events, like they seem to bring people together. People are more open. I mean, you and I met there, probably, you know, our paths probably wouldn't have crossed if we hadn't been at that event, but we had that one common thing to talk about, and now we're buddies.
Right.
You know, now you're here helping me with this podcast that I'm doing and helping others with your story as well. And I'm always like, this is a fucking amazing thing because most people just think cannabis is, you know, like especially medical cannabis. Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys are just looking for excuses to consume cannabis. And to that I say, so what? But, you know.
And they're at home like this.
Right. But on top of that, it's just like, you know, it's not just that. It's like cannabis, as far as I could tell, is one of the most inclusive things. You know, I do demos at all these various dispensaries all the time, and the most multicultural things I ever get are at dispensaries. You know, like you'll see people from the Tenderloin talking to someone from Pack Heights. You know, it's not unusual, and I just really think that you know, we got to work hard to make sure that people understand that this is really a medicine. And even if you are doing okay in your life and you want to use cannabis to relax, to help with the stress, or, you know, maybe to get into, you know, playing some games with the kids more, like these things are all okay. Mm-hmm. You know, we just need to talk about responsible cannabis use. And this is actually a pretty good segue because, you know, when I first saw you, you told me that you took like a 2 or 3 month hiatus from cannabis as well. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I just took some time off for a little bit because I did just like marijuana. The medical cannabis doesn't put me in a fog. It was the other things that I was doing that I was in the fog. So starting school in January, you know, I had quit just before that a little bit, and then I wanted to see what it was like just to I guess just be normal, you know, because all the other stuff was I had gotten my I guess I had gotten my mind back. I started to be more like myself. So, you know, the medical cannabis never changed me. It was just I hadn't known what it was like just to be regular for a little bit.
Yeah, and I love you sharing that story because once a month every year, I typically take a 1 month hiatus from consuming cannabis. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just more, not because I feel like I need it, but it's just more of like, how is it like being with myself? Don't worry, we still got the audio recording. So one of the things that we really try to promote is responsible cannabis use. You know, not just you know, smoke weed and everything's gonna work out well. So I thought that was like really cool for you to share that with me and kind of, you know, share it with other people too. Are you open to taking one right now?
For sure. Yeah, I was doing that because I was just starting school and I hadn't been at school so long, so it was it was beneficial. And once I realized, hey, I'm okay at school.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this is some of the clear
right.
that a couple of my buddies made called Midas. It's a really pure distillate, and like I said, responsible cannabis use is really, really important. I mean, it is something that does take you in one state of consciousness to another. So if it's not helping you, then you should stop using it, But if it is helping you, then it is absolutely something that you could continue to use and benefit from. And I think it's really important to really, understand, when you are utilizing it and it's beneficial, and when you're abusing it as well.
And when you ain't doing nothing, that's when you're abusing it. When you ain't doing your homework, that's when you're abusing it. Or if you're doing that instead of your homework, you're abusing it.
So I think here's a good little tip that I heard on another podcast. If you're smoking a ton of pot and you're way too comfortable with your life, you're probably not working hard enough, So that's my little tip of the day is if you're smoking every day, you feel super relaxed and comfortable with what you're doing, and you're not feeling like a little bit of like, hey, I should be doing this. Well, then you're probably consuming a little bit too much cannabis. So, we want to balance it out and make sure that, when you do consume cannabis, you're getting some benefit out of it as opposed to, just, avoiding something that you really should be doing. So Omar, thank you so much for joining my show today.
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else that you want to say to any veterans that might be watching? Or
if you've got issues, talk to somebody. Just talk to somebody. Even if it's someone you don't know, a complete stranger. I've done that before. So talk to somebody. That's the best advice I can give. Because if you hold it all in, something will happen. But if you talk to somebody, it doesn't matter who it is. Somebody will hear you.
So, I think really good advice. I mean, not just for people suffering from PTSD, but in general, I know a lot of people hold their problems within. They don't want to show any insecurities or, any weakness, but really, it's when you share your stories, people help you with their own experiences and help you move past them. Obviously for us, we really are a believer in the plant and its therapeutic properties. So, that's why we worked hard in introducing this methodology for ingesting it. But if you can't go to the VA, like Omar said, find some friends. Just let them know what's going through your mind so that they could give you some advice. And if you are curious about cannabis, there's a ton of resources out there. You could always go to our website, vapeexhale.com, or subscribe to this podcast, because we do talk a lot about cannabis health, not just health in relation with cannabis, but different things that you could do for your diet, different books that you could read to keep your mind sharp, different meditation exercises to make sure your spirit is also aligned with your everything else. And let's make the world a better place. So Omar, thank you again for joining the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, why don't we take one more rip each before we end the show? So you keep them entertained while I scoop some of this lovely clear nectar in here.
Oh man.
So what about your kid? Tell them what your kid's gonna do this weekend.
Oh, my son's today's my son's birthday. My son is 12 years old.
Oh wow! Yeah. Happy birthday! What's your son's name?
Omar.
Omar Jr.?
No, it's just he's got the same name as me, but I forgot to put Junior on the end, so it's just he's just Omar Cuevas. That's it.
Got it. And you say 11 or 12?
12. He turned 12.
Wow! One more year before he's challenging the Lion at home.
Yeah. I just got home from Iraq, and he was born a month later. Yeah.
So hey, I mean, did that help with you kind of reintegrating, having to focus so much?
No. I came home and I was working in the hospital. I was an emergency room technician, and I had that job for like 2 years. And during the time I worked at my son's preschool as a parent teacher, it was co-op, and then I couldn't handle it anymore. I walked off the job one day. I had a good job as an ER tech and just walked off the job. People would come in, do CPR on them. We'd shock them. I'd draw blood because I was phlebotomy certified. Like I was an EMT practicing. Like I was, I still am, but I'm going to school to get my credentials again because I'm gonna get back everything I gave away. I didn't lose it. I gave it away because of the choices I made. So once you realize that you're in control, and the bad things that happen is because of you, then that's when your life is going to get a little better. So if there's any vets out there that are blaming everybody for everything, that's not going to help you, and that's not going to help anyone else. That's just going to make everything worse. You have to take responsibility for your stuff. Things happen, and that's life, but it's what you do after that defines you.
Wow, that was magic. And you know, like
I have my moments, man.
Well, you know what?
It was a rip.
I think so. Take your rip. So, hey, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, like, I asked Omar, are you ready to do this podcast? And he said he's a little nervous. And, you know, I was almost like about to offer him some CBD, but I said, hey, let's just do this one, you know, sober, because I want people to hear your story as clearly and as vocally as possible. But, you know, I mean, I think we kind of saw a little bit of like, you know, like how this kind of loosened you up and allowed you to express yourself and your true intention of what you really wanted to express. So I'm glad we kept recording and we kept that part because, you know, that's a lot of good information, like I said, not just for vets, but for anyone trying to get their life back together because, you know, I kind of told you really briefly, like, you know, up until I was 28, you know, I didn't hold like a regular 9-to-5 job, you know, and, you know, like to go from $12 an hour to $100,000 in 1 year was pretty amazing, and all of it had to do with just being accountable for my own actions and being accountable for my own failures too, and really learning from it and just saying fuck it, you know, no more excuses. I'm gonna do this, and nothing's gonna hold me back from doing it. You know?
Right. And you were the one to get the success. Yeah. Because you did it.
All right. Yep. The show is over. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. Omar, thank you again. And we'll be back next week. Yeah. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Nice.
Right on.
Nice. That was cool. Oh.